Hey, welcome to this podcast. Welcome to GMASH Speaks. Welcome to Censuses. We have called this the most important natural source to fight off COVID-19. This is the first podcast on a number of podcasts on the sunlight pill. We are talking here about one form of life that can transform our lives forever. Vitamin D, sunshine vitamin, whatever you want to call it, it is free. It's a drug that you can take daily. We ask you guys, take it daily. It is free, even though it goes against the grain. I want to give a quote here, which has been a quote attributed to a great man, Ronald Reagan. He once said that the status quo is a Latin word for the mess we are in. And we believe here at Censuses that we are going to see a new mess. We are going to see a massive explosion in the rate of chronic illnesses. We are going to see an attack on our immune systems, a bigger attack on our respiratory organs, a bigger attack on our hearts, a much bigger attack on our brains. And we are going to see a newer disease called Disease X. Make a note of that, guys. The current pandemic, the COVID-19, is a precursor to the real disease, Disease X. Okay? Now, Disease X is what we have called in this tribe the radiation virus, the new normal. But here's the challenge. And it is a big one, guys. The new disease, Disease X, also known as radiation virus, will need literally everyone to take forced vaccination. Yes, you heard it here. It is coming. I hear you think and I hear you say that can't be the case. But we are saying to you, it is the case. We've got the facts. We're going to present them to you. You need to hang in there. Stay tuned to this channel. And you will get to know what they do not want us to know. Before we go into what they don't want us to know, what do we know today? Coronavirus phobia. This is something we call the fear of the unknown. In today's climate, fear and panic have become just as synonymous and as dangerous as the pathogen itself. The fear we experience over COVID-19 has in itself become far more dangerous than a germ, than an infectious agent. It's become far more dangerous than a bacterium, a virus, or other microorganisms that can cause diseases. This is a big concern. Some of us are in such fear that will lead to a total system shutdown and possibly ultimate death. Why is that going to be a case that we should really look out for? It's a case because what happens is our parasympathetic system then goes on overdrive when we stay in a state of flight or fight for a protracted period. What we are doing is we are driving ourselves to a total body shutdown. Now, the more we hold COVID-19 in the wake of fear is the more we are compromising our health. We are here to tell you that you do not need to have the fear of catching COVID-19. Of course, exposure is not in our control. Of course, catching it is not altogether in our control. However, building our immune system, now that is in our control. While many people around the world globally have built up immunity to seasonal flu strains, COVID-19 is a new virus to which, and I say this with such humility, to which gladly a number of people have good immunity towards. Some people can fight off COVID-19, okay, because they built up their immune systems very well. However, and this is a big however, more than 6 billion people globally will not have immunity towards COVID-19. And what they need to do is to start building their immunity right now. Now, my reason is simply this. Now, listen to this carefully, guys. COVID-19 was created to stay, and as such, will end up becoming a seasonal flu, which will require yearly vaccines. Now, that is the plan. This means more people are going to be susceptible to infection, and some will suffer severe diseases as a result of a compromised immunity. A fair number of this will lead to an early death, and where it's not fatal, could lead to more severe complications, especially those who have comorbidities, those who have existing health conditions. They will be severely compromised. Now, we're going to be telling you ways to defeat COVID-19 before you get exposed to it. We know that social distancing, working from home, and staying inside in general are ways to protect yourselves. Okay, we all know that. But this is the big ask. Are there other measures that we can take to fight against this pandemic? There is a war on vitamin D. There is a war on sunlight. At least 70% of our world is vitamin D deficient. At least 70%. Vitamin D is unique because it's one of only 2 vitamins that our body can produce on its own, the other one being vitamin K. So, what are we going to do? We are going to share information here that they do not want you to know. They don't want us to know. We've gathered information. The team here, the census team, have worked on, and for at least the last 2 months and some for the last 3 years, we have information that some of my mentors have shared, and some information that you will not find anywhere else. Now, that is the good news. This platform is made to educate. Now, we've created, in being able to inform and educate people, we've created a new app. And what this app does, it provides access to share information relevant to you wherever you are in the world, information that you will see nowhere else. Now, if you look at the screen, you see me put out the different international units required by different age groups to have a sustained and sufficient vitamin D level. So, for the benefit of simplicity, we're going to group skin color by Caucasian, African descent, and Middle East origins. Okay, now we do these groupings as indicators to light skin, dark skin, and mid-tan skin, respectively. So, what they do not want you to know is this. Now, permit me to paint 3 scenarios here. So, if you are aged between 19 and 50, and you are of Caucasian descent, meaning you're light-skinned and your vitamin D level drops below 131 micrograms, then you are in a danger zone. If you are aged between 51 and 70 years of age, and you are of African descent, meaning you're dark-tanned, you're dark-skinned, and your vitamin D level drops below 390 micrograms, then you are in a danger zone. Now, if you are aged between 14 and 18 years, and you are of Middle East descent, you are mid-tanned, you're mid-skinned, your tone, and your vitamin D level drops below 173 micrograms, then you are in a danger zone. What I've just done is just to provide a cross-section in different age groups for the different races. So what does this mean, and why is it important to us? It simply means that the light-skinned individual needs to spend less time in the sunlight in order to get sufficient sunlight to live an optimal life. Whereas the African American, the dark-skinned lady, the African man needs to spend an average of at least 1.5 times, in most cases 2 times more than his Caucasian counterpart. It also means that the abdominally obese individual and other individuals with other health complications such as heart problems, thyroid problems, metabolism problems, sexual dysfunction, and a whole list of issues, health issues, will need to spend at least 2.5 more time getting their daily vitamin D. Now, why is that the case? It's the case here because, and it becomes more of an issue, there is a new disease, like I mentioned, about to be unleashed to our beautiful planet. And with a new app, we can provide you information as to how much sunlight you need on a daily basis that will give you optimal health or a fighting chance to ward off this new disease and the current disease, the COVID-19 disease that we are all facing up against. But we need to understand one thing, and that is to do with the biggest organ in our body, and that is the skin. Now, our skin, which is our biggest organ, is contiguous and is made up of sweat glands, and these sweat glands are receptors. So the sweat glands, which happen to be the ideal receptors for both what we need to live optimally, sunlight, and also a suitable receptor for the new disease X, which we've called the radiation virus. Okay, both of them, sunlight and disease X, need to get sensation on the skin. So when the sensation hits the skin at levels that are high, what happens is that we then get a burning sensation, and that comes in the form of heat. It's a thermal wave, okay, and we will get to feel that sensation on our skin. Now, as a result of that, and the fact that this is very key to both sides of the coin, to you getting optimal health and you being a victim of the new disease, what has happened is that there is a big agenda, actually is the biggest agenda right now, and that is an attack on vitamin D and sunlight deprivation. That is the objective. So how do I explain the skin being an effective tool in the war against the disease X and also in optimizing our health? So if I draw a line on the skin and I keep drawing a line and I go down my tongue, okay, I want you to stay with me, and I go into my esophagus, I go down into my stomach, I go into my intestine. Guess what? I'm still in the same surface. Now, that is the principle of being in a state of being contiguous, and that's why I say the skin is contiguous to other parts of the body. So our skin is contiguous with our internal organs. Okay, our skin is an ectodermal tissue. Our skin differentiates to form the nervous system, that being the spine, the peripheral nerves, and of course the brain. It is contiguous with our tooth enamel and also contiguous with our epidermis. It is contiguous with the lining of our mouth. Now listen to this carefully. It's contiguous with our nostrils. It is contiguous with our sweat glands. And most importantly, our skin is contiguous with our lungs. Now, I ask this question. What is COVID-19? It's an attack on our respiratory organs. Now, inside our gut are about 100 trillion live microorganisms, and these microorganisms promote normal GI functions. When I say GI functions, I mean our gastrointestinal barrier, which is a barrier that protects our body from infections and also regulates metabolism and the mucosal immune system. Okay, so it's very important to keep this barrier extremely healthy. Now, having explained the function of the skin, it is a fact, and we are all aware of this, that America has suffered the largest casualties with respect to the current pandemic. By that I mean African Americans in the context of Americans. African Americans represent 22% of the virus fatalities, despite composing 12.5% of the population. That is a huge concern. Vitamin D has always been low for most African Americans. It is important to close on this fact that our immune health is linked to vitamin D. Vitamin D helps with our health. Vitamin D helps with our respiratory health. And what we know is that a lot of people who die from COVID-19 are extremely low in vitamin D. African American people are naturally deficient in vitamin D because of the presence of melanin, and that is present in our skins. Melanin blocks out vitamin D. And what I find people doing in a large extent is having to depend on the vitamin D pills. For me, that's not a great idea. We do not believe that quality and optimal vitamin D will be obtained from vitamin D pills. A lot of products in the marketplace are synthetic, and in a lot of cases are not easily absorbed by the body. Reason for this is the mere fact that the origin of most drugs comes from sources that do not follow strict optimal industry 4.0 quality processes. They do not follow processes in harvesting or in actually growing their crops, in harvesting their crops, and in manufacturing their crops. Crops are manipulated, drugs are compromised, and even some so-called organics and literally all GMOs are heavily compromised. I'll leave that for a different podcast. So we say, why not go for the most undiluted and pure source of vitamin D? It doesn't cost you a dime. It's going to cost you going out for a walk in the park. It's going to cost you sitting out in your garden. It's going to cost you having a sun bath on your lawn. It's going to cost you taking a jog or a walk for 50 minutes. And if you do this at least 4 days a week, you will see the difference over 3 months. And when you go out, do not put on your sunglasses. Do not put on your cap or your hat. Let the sun get in through your eyes. I leave that for another podcast. I know it's really difficult to do this, but do it to improve the quality of your health. I am not utterly against vitamin D pills. I do get some myself from my daily supplements that I take. I do take a particular rare sea buckthorn, and I take omega-3 pills to supplement my vitamins daily. Okay. However, I do take this because I'm aware of the strict manufacturing processes involved in the production of this supplement. So I've done my research. I tell everybody I can at any given opportunity, I tell them, take your daily sunshine pills, your vitamin D pills. I tell them we need to take care of ourselves. Our doctors cannot do it for us. That system has failed us. We need to take our health into our hands. We can fight COVID-19. We can boost our immune and respiratory health. So please go for your vitamin D and take it on a daily basis. I cannot overemphasize that fact. Now, with that being said, I need to quickly wrap up. And before I wrap up on this podcast, I want to get this done before 30 minutes. This is the first of many podcasts on sunlight. I'm going to try and close this podcast with this profound statement from one of my mentors, or somebody I look up to. Okay? Morgan Freeman says, if you want to see a miracle, be that miracle. Now, this journey of mine with censuses has been inspired by so many greats. Okay? I believe in a miracle of a tribe with people living in optimal health and wealth. And so I have taken on this journey. I believe there lies a miracle for every one of us who wants to achieve success in optimal health and wealth. I'm going to share a bit of that on my next screen, which has got to do with my bio. However, before I share a quick view on my bio, I want to touch on that part of our failed system that has been made an institution by one of the big fives. Okay, it's a system that has been so devised and designed to frustrate the miracles that a lot of us so much seek after. That's the miracle of optimal health. Welcome to the world of the big bad wolf. This space is the space of the big telco, big data. You had it here. There is a new disease called disease X. Not given a name yet, but we've called it ahead of them. We've called it the radiation virus. It is in play already. However, not to the scale in which it will become a big player around 2021, fully by 2022. We have information that we will share through the censuses platform that by 2025, this new normal virus will be classified by WHO as an endemic, meaning it's here to stay forever. We have less than 5 years, guys, to build our immunity to a level where we will not need to take the forced vaccination. There is a forced vaccination coming up soon. Okay? I heard Bill Gates say, I'm not trying to put across Bill Gates as an eugenist. That's for another podcast. But he says that the rich countries will have the vaccination, okay, across board. And then the poor countries will need to have this vaccination because in the absence of this vaccination, they're not going to be allowed into the richer countries. Now, what does that suggest to you? I leave that thought. So we have 5 years to build our immunity in order to prevent us being forced to take vaccination. Now, the question is this: are we prepared to take the route of discipline, the route of pain, the route of dedication in order to enjoy the pleasure of optimal health? That is the question that I post out to you. Because in the absence of you providing sufficient information or being fully equipped and boosting your immunity, we are going to become a pawn in the big scheme of things by the big five. And we know that there is a new disease that's going to be unleashed. It's going to be unleashed from 2021. It's going to be in full play by 2022. Now, I want to take you into my bio. Why do I have the right to say the stuff I'm saying? Now, it's a fact that I've been a victim of 2 chronic illnesses, okay? And I reversed my illnesses by simply biohacking. The system failed me. So I speak from experience. It's also a fact that I had a high level of being extremely toxic as a result of my industry, being in the IT and telecommunications industry. And I reversed my illnesses. So I speak as a survivor. So what is happening here is simply the fact that we are building a new tribe. And we've created the Censuses platform so we can tell our story, we can share, and we can empower, we can educate. And that is the reason why we have this platform, to give a fleeting chance to everybody who we can come in contact with. The purpose here is to reach one person, and that one person can reach another person, and that one person can reach another person within your own social cycle, your own social circles. Okay? And that is what we are here for. So, one thing that Morgan Freeman said, and said very well, he said, whatever we decide to do is what we need to do. And in saying that, I bring to a close this particular podcast. And the Lord added to their number daily those who were being saved. I have decided to do this. We at Censuses are intent on building a solid foundation for our optimal relationship with health and also with wealth. Now, just like the greatest teacher to grace our world, okay, he graced our world. He is the greatest one to be seen, that carpenter from Galilee. He built. It took him a long while to build, but he put in place a solid foundation. And I do share from his spirit. And what we're asking to do is join us as we work on this dream. We are building a huge library. We are building a right foundation. We are building a community that will sometime in the near future and even in the now have resources to work with, resources to share, resources to make use of daily. We are patiently building, guys. This is a 5-year program that we have in motion. It is not a quick fix program. And in doing that, we have covered one of the pills in the Censuses Toolbox kit. We've covered the sunlight pill. Now, there are 9 pills in this toolbox kit: stress, exercise, nutrition, sleep, epigenetics and eugenics, sunlight, sex, education and empowerment, and lastly, success. The ultimate plan is to get us to be successful. We would like you to do one thing: to subscribe to the GMASH Speaks platform. Somewhere below your screen here, there's a red button. Click on that red button, subscribe to our channel so that you'll be notified when these podcasts are made available. We intend to have 5 to 20 minutes multiple contents created on a weekly, daily, monthly basis. This one is about 30 minutes. The next one is going to be about 5 minutes. You need to subscribe so that you can get information on our podcast. What we say to you is start the fire. We started the spark. Now start the fire. Next up, we're going to broadcast on the dangers of insufficient sunlight in a COVID-19 world. God bless you guys. Till we hook up again, please keep safe. Welcome to the new normal. Love you guys. We'll talk soon. Enjoy your day. Cheers.